Hello, my dear brothers and sisters. I'm Surajwan, your instructor. Today we'll discuss about Active Directory and DNS. Before we'll discuss about Active Directory and DNS, first of all we need to know what is a domain name system. In short, DNS. The domain name system is a hierarchical decentralized naming system for computers, servers, and its services connected to the network. The domain name system is a service that delegates the responsibility of assigning domain name and also mapping those names to the internet resources by the designated authoritative name servers for each domain. In other words, DNS allows you to resolve a host name to an IP address. Active Directory has a lot dependency on properly configured DNS. When a DNS is properly configured, DNS zones are created and Active Directory directly depending on DNS zones as clients' requests are being authenticated frequently to get access to domain naming resources. In this chapter, we'll learn a good understanding of how Active Directory uses DNS to serve seamlessly between client machines and AD domain services. Before I move into my Windows Server 2016, I'll give a glimpse of some advantages of DNS in Windows Server 2016 and 2012 R2 servers. Background zone loading. When an Active Directory DNS server restarts, the Active Directory zone data starts populates the database in the background. Background zone loading allows the DNS server to service clients' requests for data from the other zones immediately after a restart. Support read-only domain controllers. Read-only domain controllers are full copy of an Active Directory database without the ability to write the Active Directory install on remote creation for security concerns. The read-only domain controller is mainly implemented in remote locations. Whenever a change is made in Active Directory, RODC gets replicated information on the server. DNS socket pools. DNS socket pools allows to choose random source port to protect against DNS cache poisoning attacks. When you install a DNS server in Windows Server 2016 or Windows Server 2012 or 2, with the default setting, it will enable by default. DNS security extension. In short, DNSSEC. DNSSEC enables a DNS zone and its all data to be signed with a digital key to encrypt all DNS zone data. When a client computer requests data, it will accompany with a key against which DNS data will validate the request in reply. Now I'll move into my Windows Server 2016. I'll show you how this Active Directory is integrated with DNS and its resources. In your Windows Server 2016, move into Server Manager, select Tools and click DNS. When a domain controller is promoted, there are several records registered in DNS. You can see here in forward lookup zones, there is one folder called, this starts with underscore msdcs and ends with this our domain controller name. This folder belongs to Microsoft LDAP services folder because there are several other OSs who are using also LDAP services to filter out particular Microsoft services. Microsoft by default created this folder name and all LDAP service records are stored in this folder. Now we'll move into our domain called cities.com. Here you can see there are several folders also created, several DNS records are also created, underscore msdcs underscore sites underscore tcp underscore udp domain DNS zones, forest DNS zones. These domain DNS zones and forest DNS zones, those records are created with the Active Directory application partition. I'll discuss about application partition in our future videos. Now we'll see about what are the DNS records are stored are generated during the creation of domain controller. Here you can in underscore TCP folder you can see there are underscore GC underscore kbros underscore kpassword underscore LDAP records are there. Well, underscore GC This service record denotes the global catalog server IP address and domain name. Here you can see this domain name is denoted with this global catalog server. When a client requests a global catalog server, this service record is responsible to reply with the appropriate IP address and as well as the domain name to the client. This underscore kpress record allow the client to find any this domain controller, like in this our domain we have already configured this domain controller on the network that can perform authentication using the kpress. The next record k password. The k password indicates the location of a service on network that is able to perform kpress password changes. And the last but not the least, underscore LDAP. This record indicates the location of the network of servers on the network that can perform LDAP lookups in an Active Directory. To be remembered, without this DNS record, a client cannot authenticate to a network or cannot find any Active Directory services. Okay, so now I will come into another thing. When you have multiple domain controller in your network, then the service records are also used accordingly. If we go through the properties of any service record, you can see here priority box is there and wait box is there. So when the client requests a service record, likewise a global catalog server, so this request is being carried out according to the priority. The lower the priority, the record is being used in the first serve. When the priority will be 0 for multiple GC records, then wait comes to play. The most important thing to update those DNS record, make sure that the data stored in Active Directory set to dynamic update to secure only. To check this, go to domain and select properties and check it out whether this dynamic updates under this data stored in Active Directory is set to secure only. If the dynamic update on selected, the changes across DC won't be reflected to the domain controllers or as well as the DNS records. Thus, in this scenario, clients would have hard time to locate at these resources and be cautious about it. Okay, and also don't enable edging and scavenging without enabling dynamic update. If you want to enable dynamic update and you enable edging and scavenging, then the service record would be removed from the DNS server in a given time period. And after then, all the clients will face a very hard time to locate all the Active Directory resources in your network. So it is best practice to enable dynamic update to enable to support Active Directory environment. Now I have been talking about how the clients are authenticated with Active Directory in a secure way. When clients are communicating with Active Directory in unsecure way, they'll use this underscore UDP service records. Okay. Now I have almost covered all the DNS aspect of Active Directory integrated DNS services. I hope you have learned a lot about Active Directory and DNS. Make sure you practice hard on your home lab so you can get used to all those things. So for now, I'm done here. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.